afternoon, everyone. It's the 2023 Measures training update. And what we'll go through today is the current version of Measures, sort of doing like a national FIS race type. And if you guys have any questions, please just let me know and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So Measures can be downloaded from our homepage. So if we go to our website, if you haven't subscribed to our mailing list, please do, because that's where if there's a update, you'll get notice of that. At the very bottom, you have Measures, which you can just click download. It'll download the installer, you run the installer, and then it will be installed on your computer under MEC apps. So we have Measures. So I already have a Measures open. Measures does check on every start if there is an update. If there is, it'll just send you to the website to download the latest version, and then you can install it right over the application. Once you've opened it, you can see the dongle number and then the version, and it will tell you when it's valid until. So to create a race, Measures creates a lot of different files in the same directory. So our suggestion is always that you create a folder for each Measures race, just so that those files don't get jumbled up with the rest of them. So what I'll do is I'll create a new race, and I am going to go to my training. I'll say 2023, what's the date today? 13th. Training. If we are doing a para event, you can check the para, which adds the ability to calculate the factors and import the factors. Say okay. If you would like, if you're doing a bunch of races all sort of the same, you can copy information from an old race file. That information can be the header, so the jury information, or the racers. We also have added the ability that if you are doing the same race but different codexes, so if you're doing one run race but you're running the same bibs, you can actually copy those bibs over as well. So I'm going to say no to this because we're going to start from fresh. So then we just go through these top tabs, and that's where we start from. So first we have to put in our header information. So we put in our race title. So we can say test race. We pick a discipline. So we'll say slalom, race level. So the other big thing on here is there's a F9 help. So you can either hit F9 or you can just click on here. And this will give you a nice big box to tell you all the information that you need to know sort of about what information should be in here. So let's say we're doing a national race. So we'll put that, and then we can see what the genders can be. I'll turn it off for right now. So we'll say male, the date. So we put in the date in the day, month, year format. 13th, 12, 2023, and then location, and then I'm sure there is a 4 per PTSO. I'm sure there's a way to say thanks to our sponsors X, Y, and Z. So if there is a standard, I'm sure that would be communicated with you, and you can put that information into the footers. So the headers and footers get put at the top and bottom of each report once they're done. So we can click save. Then we go to the jury and technical data. So if you are running a race that has a TD candidate, you can click that. If you are running a race in feet, if you want to do elevation in feet, you can run that. So for each of the jury fields, there is, the format is you can do first initial, and then first initial, last name, club or country, and then if they have a official's ID or something to that effect, you can put that in at the end, and it'll automatically get all of that information formatted. So we put in the start elevation, so we'll say it's 500 meters, and the finish elevation is 120, and it'll calculate exactly what that vertical drop is. Here is where you put in the codex for the race, so that would be provided by the PTSO or by FIS. So we can say nat 24, and if we are running a FIS race, we can put in the homologation number of the hill that the race is being run on. So I can click save. Then we can go to course setters and forerunners. So all of this is just sort of boilerplate data for the rate, for the outputs, the reports, and for the XML that's being sent out. So I can say and then we'll say that it's the same course setter. Oh, we need to put in Canadian, and also see setter, and then we have, from your course setter, you would be provided with information of the number of gates in the course and then the number of turns. Normally that is, it'll come from the course setter, and you can just ask them what they set, and then the start time of the run. So we can say it was 9 o'clock, and then this one's going to be a little bit longer, so we'll say 24 and 22, and this one started at 1 o'clock, so 24-hour time for the start time. Save. So we've added course setters, and then we can say weather and snow factors. So the F factor is a value that's used in the calculation of the race penalty. We set it based on what you have set as the category or as the discipline, so either slalom, GS, that sort of thing. And these are the ones that we currently, that are for this current season. If for some reason one of these is incorrect, or you're running a race that needs a different factor, you can type in what that factor should be. But I'd say 99 times out of 100, you won't be touching this. Then we can put in weather conditions. So let's see, it is clear and none, because I have no snow here right now. And then temperature at the top, we'll say is 2. Phyllis, do you have a question? Thank you, Phyllis. So the snow conditions is what the track is, and still I would say none, because I have no snow on the ground right now. But the good catch, Phyllis, is that this would be snow conditions of the actual track. And we're not a big hill, so it'll be the same temperature. So we can click save. So we've added all sort of your like boilerplate data that you needed for running the race. Now, if you are running, like let's say you're running a series or something to that effect, and you are just, everyone's running every single day, you can copy all of this data from one race file to the next, and you don't have to input it every single time. So then we can go to racers. So you've got two ways to add racers. You can add racers from a points file. So the points file can either be FIS, Alpine Points, or Alpine Points sort of registration file. There is a specific version for measures, and just download that and it'll automatically import. You can select all and just add them. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to say that I want to add from a points file. I'm going to use the current national points. We ask a question if we want to calculate the age category. So if you are running a race today with today's points, this will always be no. But if for some reason you're using last year's registration for a race this year, then you would want to say yes to this because you're recalculating what their age category was, because what's in the file is last year's. So I'll say no. So I'll say get names from a pick list. And I am just going to pick 9 racers right now. So I'll say, if you want to see who you've picked, you can say show only selected, and then it'll only show those. You can also pick a couple options. So you can say select all racers. So if you are using a registration file, you want all of those racers, so you can just say select all. If there is a particular person you're looking for, you can search by code, or you can pick a specific category, birth year, or something to that effect. If you are wanting to split a registration, in like a U16, U19, you want to split U16s into one race and U19s into another race. So I'm going to say, so you haven't added any racers right now, but if when you click exit, it'll say you're going to add these racers. So you say continue. So now we have F5 at the bottom. It just shows view racers, and this shows you all the information about each racer. So right now we have our 9 racers, and I'm going to just exit that. So if that's all that if you've just added your racers, you don't need to do anything here. We do have the ability to edit racer information or change racers' names if there's a need to. If you are running from a FIS or a national points list, it's strongly advised that you don't do that, because a lot of those names are checked against what's in the database. So if you change Bobby to Jim, it'll reject the race. Then what we can do is we can go into draw. So what draw does is that assigns the start positions in the bibs. So we can say automatically assign. You have 2 options. You can automatically assign, or you can input the bib and start position manually. So I can say I'm going to automatically assign a start positions. So it says it'll perform the following: assign start positions according to racer points. If requested, it'll draw the top racers, and if requested, it will randomize matching seed points. So I'll say continue. So it's asking you to assign start position. So enter the number of racers in the top seed. So that's usually 15 to 30, depending on what race it is. We don't have that many, so I'm just going to go with 2, or 3, so that we have a little bit of a section. If you want to randomly draw every single person, you can type 9, which is the last bib. So you're randomizing everyone. And if you want to assign all racers by seed points, then you type in 1. So I'll say 3. Hit OK. Is this correct? Yes. Then we get to, we've assigned the start position. So each racer has a start position, but now we need to attach a bib to each racer. If you're doing sort of a male and female race at the same time, your males will get maybe bibs 1 to 100, and then your females will get bibs 100 to 200, or 101 to 200. So this is the first bib number that would be assigned. So I'm going to say 1 because that's what my data is for. If, for example, those bibs are pretty old and you have, you know what, you're missing 15 and you're missing 16 and you don't want to use duct tape to make those bibs, you can say yes to this and type in the list of bibs that are missing and it'll automatically skip those. But most of the time we'll just say no. Do we want to draw these? We'll say yes. And then do we want to draw matching seed points? We'll say yes. And then we can print the results. So this shows you the draw, the matching seed point draw, and then we'll click exit. If I go view racers, we have the starts and the bibs for each racer. Now, little Jimmy didn't register, but now he's actually coming to the hill. So let's add Jimmy to the race. So I'll add another racer. So I'll pick the points file. So let me just go down. I'll pick that one. So now we have another racer that doesn't have a bib or a start. So we don't want to, we've already handed out bibs 1 to 9. We don't want to rework all of those. So what we can do is we can go and draw and we say insert late entry. Sort pick list by racer name, yes. So now we can see all the racers, what their bibs are, or what their bib and start position is. We see that there's one racer that doesn't have a bib or start position, so we'll pick that one racer. And I'm going to say that's bib 10, and they're going to start 9th, which will, or let's say 8th. So I'll say insert, and then I can say exit, exit. View racers, we can see that number 10 is starting 8th, and then the rest of them have been pushed down. So if you're needing to insert a late entry, that would be the way that we would do it. You can add as many late entries, it'll just bump them down. Now we can go to reports. So everyone needs to know when they're running from. So you can add in any of this information that you want into the report. I'm just going to say no. And then I'm going to say that we don't want to include club or sort by club, and then we can print run 1 start list inverted. Do you want to invert it? So I'm going to say no. Jess, you have a question? Same thing. You just add them in late insert, or so if you got a late insert after you've run your run 1 start list, it would be the exact same formula. You just rerun the start list. Yes, Phyllis? Yes. So Jess, that good point, Phyllis, is that depending on how late that late entry is, if the start list has already gone out to everyone, if literally everyone's on the hill waiting for the race to start, you need to be able to propagate that information as quickly as possible. And some of the clubs in Ontario, what they've been doing is adding WhatsApp groups, creating WhatsApp groups for each race, where only the race administrator can sort of post in it. And so that something like that would be a great way to literally just be able to say, we have a late entry, this is where they are, or new start lists out, please pick them up at the race office, or they're being distributed, that sort of thing as well. Do we want to flag snow seeds? So the snow seeds are something for a downhill speed event where if there's a lot of snow, they're racers that start first to sort of clear the track before the actual or the higher caliber racers are running. So I'm going to say no to that. And then do you want to show the compressed start list? We have a big one which has all of the sort of header information and the jury information, or a compressed one which is just 2 columns. For the environment's sake, I usually say yes to this. So you can see the position, the bib that's starting, the club, and it will come out as 2 columns if you have more than, I think it's like 65 racers on first column. And then you can print from here either to PDF or to your home printer. So you've got your start one, your run one start list. Then your timers are going to go out and run the race. You're going to come back with a DAT file, which will allow you to import those racers' times. So if we click on times, I can say load DTRIS formatted runtimes. If we're using something other than DTRIS, you can load a CSV, or if there's absolutely nothing, you can literally manually input the times. So I have had clients sit there with measures in the finish hut, typing out the times as they come in from the off the hill. So I'm going to say load DTRIS formatted runtimes. So I've got 2 test files, so I'll pick the run one, and I'm going to say which one are we going to update. So I'm going to say run one. So we do a bunch of checks to make sure that this data is correct. So if this file wasn't generated on the same day that your measures file or that the race date is, then it'll throw an error, but I know this is correct because I ran it yesterday. So I'll say load. Then depending on your timers, you might get, the race might, or the times file might come with disqualified racers set already, or you would have to do that after the fact. This one has come with disqualifications already. So the file doesn't hold the information for when the racer was disqualified, which gate it was. So using your jury's information, you can say, you know what, this was gate 8 that you disqualified on. So now if I look at view racers, we've got times for and statuses for the run one. So we've done run one, we can do run two. So we can say run two start list. Click OK. Now, are you wanting a normal run two, which is finish order? Are you wanting the same as run one? So the same bib order, or the same order that they ran, or do you want to invert? So I'm just going to say normal run. Do you want to add disqualifications, DNFs, and not permit to start to the end of the file? That would be something based on the age category and the race type, whether you say yes or no. I'm going to say yes. Include DNSs, yes. Top racers to reverse. So I'm going to say no racers to reverse today. Yes, that is the right number. Just like run one, or you have the ability to view the full versus the compressed. So I'll say, I'll show the full. So this shows you start the second run, all the jury information, and then shows you the bib, the competitor's information, their run one times. So I'll hit exit. Now we have a run 2 start list. From there, we can wait for our timer to provide us with the times for run 2. Once we have the times, we'll just go back to load teachers formatted times. I have a run 2 file, so I'll open that. I'll get the same error that it's incorrect race date. I'll say I'll want to load it still. I got another DSQ, so I'll say that was gate 3. So now we have all of the times and statuses. So we'll click exit for that. Now you have all the data. Now it's just the mad dash to get the results so that everyone can go home and you can give out the medals. So we can go to calculations, calculate a 2-run race. So this is calculating the seed points, or sorry, it's calculating the penalty for the race. Then it asks what the number of the national point was used. So this was 2406. This comes up if there has been, if they have to limit the calculation, the points in the calculation. So just like it says, just tell the TD that this has happened. I'll hit OK. So the racers, all the calculations, and we get the final penalty that has been applied. Once you've done the calculations, you can print your official report. And this gives you your full breakdown of everything that has happened and what each racer's points are that they got. So that's all that. And then the last piece is providing the race export so that it can be uploaded to Alpine Points or FIS. So if we go to outputs, we can say output national point race upload file, or if it's FIS, it'll actually just say output FIS upload file. So you put in the club code. There's a couple little questions here that need to be answered. Oh, still thinking. Hold on. Oh, it really has gone into... Oh, there we go. Okay. So it'll ask you where you want to put it. So usually we put it in C, drive measures, and then there's an events or outputs file. So I'll say OK. Are you sure you want to save it to outputs net? So I'll say yes. So event name is missing. So the event name is actually pulled from, I think it's the second one. So test race. I'll say, okay, yes. So if there's issues with your data, it'll tell you what the issue is. So it doesn't like that I don't have a homologation. And it'll probably do most of these. So I'll say, and I'll do C ref and already had number of gates, but I appreciate it, Suki. That's fine. So then timer model. So this is something that your timer could, or the person who's doing your timing would tell you what it is. So I'll just say timey 3 or timey 2. Same question for which national point list is used. So I'll say that one. And now we have the file in so if I go to my C drive, go to measures, outputs, and then nat 2020 2401, and I'll just open that with a notepad so you guys can see it. So this is all the data that is required by either Alpine Points or FIS. There's slight differences, so make sure that you pick the correct type of race that you're uploading. So that in a nutshell is the running of a race, sort of start to finish. Does anyone have any questions? Perfect. Well, if no one had, yes. Yep, I can do that. I will attach that to the race that, or to the email that gets sent out for the recording. Okay, perfect. Well, if no one has any other questions, or if you have any questions after the fact, my email is creagan@mectiming.org. If you have, like I said, subscribe to the mailing list so that you see any changes to measures, DTRIS, or we are doing some more work this year in our communication. So if any of you have questions during the season and we answer them, we're going to do sort of like an FAQ bi-weekly email where we put out sort of what the questions were that happened and how we answered them and how we can resolve those a little bit quicker. So thank you so much for